All right. Together, let's go through question 14. Now, I haven't done it yet either, so we're going to work together to do it. Well done. Okay, so question 14. A forest warden on fire duty. Now, all of these questions, I want you to use a pencil and an eraser because A, it's easy to make mistakes with bearings. B, it's also easy to start in the wrong spot and you suddenly put like a dot in the middle of your page, but actually the whole triangle goes out this side and you end up like off the page. So it's good if you can have a skim read of the question first to kind of work out where you need to start and finish. But often you make those mistakes and that's okay, and you can erase it and start again. So don't do bearing questions in pen ever. Use a pencil. You need to have a pencil and eraser in your tests and your exams. So question 14. A forest warden on fire lookout duty in an observation tower notices smoke directly north of his position. From a second tower situated 5.3 kilometres due east of the first, another warden sees the smoke on a bearing of 335 degrees. How far is the smoke from the first observation tower? So I can see that I need to be able to move upwards and due east, so to the right. So I'm going to start off to the left here as the observation tower, was it A or 1? First one, okay? So I'm just going to call it A. All right, so I've got this observation tower. I've got my north points here, all right? It's saying on lookout duty and observation, no smoke directly north of his position. So that's straight ahead. Okay, so my line is going up to the fire is straight ahead. Everyone agree with that? So I'm going to call the fire F. Everyone good? The next one says, from a second tower situated 5.3 kilometres due east of the first. What does due east mean? Directly east. So straight to the east is our observation tower B. It finds that the fire is 335 degrees. So 335 degrees, which quadrant's that in? It's between west and north, okay? How many degrees is it from one of or the other, depending on how you want to look at it? I actually would look at it and go, okay, 335, 360, 335, it's 25 degrees from north. It's probably the easiest way to look at it, yeah? So I'm going to draw this. I'm going to go, okay, so it's 25 degrees from the north, which means that what's this angle here? 65 degrees. Now, however you wish to do it is fine. What other angle do we know? We know this right angle here, don't we? Because if it's straight between north and east, then we know there's a 90-degree angle. Yes?
Can you explain the angle again?
Why?
Where you got that from?
Okay, so if we look at this, if we go north, we're starting at 0. So if it's a 3-digit angle, we're going clockwise from north always. So we always go clockwise from north. So east is 90, south is 180, west is 270, okay? But it's asking you for 335. So you had to get to 335 from that point. So all the way around to here in that whole part is 335 degrees. But from there, we usually want to work out the angles within the quadrants because they're going to help us more because they're on those the parallel lines, so we can work out the rest of them. Yeah? All right. Does that help with everybody? So therefore, this other one here is 25, and we could use that if we wanted to. Now, do we know anything else? I feel like I've missed something from the question. So a forest worker on the fire lookout duty noticed smoke directly north. We've done that. Girls, I know you're doing maths. From a second tower situated 5.3 kilometres due east. So I need to remember to put the 5.3 kilometres in. And what are we trying to find? AF. So we're going to put in X. Can everybody see that? So we've got a right angle, so therefore we can use Pythagoras or SOHCAHTOA. Okay? We don't have all the sides, so we're not going to use Pythagoras, we're going to use SOHCAHTOA. So I've got opposite and adjacent. So what rule are we going to use? Tan. So I've got tan 65 equals x over 5.3. Now, and then what do I do to get x by itself? Times the 5.3. And we get our answer. Now, what I want you guys to remember, and I know that sometimes I focus in on like not getting full marks. I want you to get full marks for every question if possible. But if you get stuck, most of the time in these questions, we're going to ask you to draw the picture. Then we're going to ask you in a separate part to use your picture to answer the question. We do that so we can give you follow-through marks. So make sure that you draw a picture with as much information as possible. Okay, but if you're completely stuck and your picture doesn't make sense, make your picture make sense so that you can actually do some working out. Don't leave things completely blank. Okay, so I want you to give everything a good shot, even if you get stuck. All right, any questions? All right, so we've still got about 15 minutes. There aren't many more bearings questions in here. I will try and find you some more practice for next week. But I'd like you to try the other questions in exercise 10B because they're the hardest worded questions you're going to get. Okay, because they've got that angle of elevation and angle of depression. So can you work through as many of them as possible, Lewis? Yeah, and I'll go through 12 now for the people who want to listen to that. If you want to do a different question, you can. Okay? Pardon? So these ones, these page. Yeah. Yeah, Sam? Yeah. All right, so I don't need you to listen to me while I'm going through question 12 if you don't wish to. You can, but you can't be talking while I'm talking. Okay, so you can do any questions on in exercise 10B, but I need you to be respectful of people who do need to listen. Okay? All right, question 12. Now I haven't done 12, so I'm going to read it at the same time. 2 vertical towers stand on level ground. From the top of one tower of height 40 meters, the top and base of the second tower have angles of elevation and depression of 20 degrees and 30 degrees. Okay. 2 vertical towers. On top of one tower of height 40 meters. All right. So I'm drawing 2 towers. One is smaller than the other. And the reason why I know that is because from the top of one tower, I can see the top as an angle of elevation, which means that I'm going to have to look up to see the top. And the bottom is an angle of depression, so therefore I have to look down to get to the bottom. So I've got 2 towers on even ground. So that's what I've drawn so far. It then says, from the top of one tower of height 40 meters. So that means this tower here is 40 meters. Okay. From the top of that tower, you need to make sure it's actually facing the other tower. Of height, the top and base of the second tower have angles of elevation and depression of 20 and 30 degrees respectively. Now, the word respectively means in the same order. So it's saying that it has an angle of elevation of 20 degrees and an angle of depression of 30 degrees. So I think that's where a lot of people would get confused by that. So it's in the same order. So the top has an angle of elevation. So to get to this top point here, there's an angle of elevation of 20 degrees. So angle of elevation means from a horizontal. And so this here is 20 degrees. To the base, the angle of depression from a horizontal is 30 degrees. Does that make sense? Yeah. Find the height of the second tower. So we need to be able to find, knowing all of this, knowing the 40 meters as well, we need to be able to find the height of, pretty much we need to find this and this. But we might need to find some other things as well, depending. Now, if we look at this, can anyone tell me what x is already? It's 40, okay? So I don't need to find x, I know that that is 40 meters. So really we're trying to find y there. To find y though, what do we need to know? We need to know the dotted line. So that's actually our x. Because to find that, we need to know that one bit of information. So it's 2 steps. We've got the first triangle we're looking at, which is 40, 30, and x. We need to find x. And then the next triangle we're looking at, so we've got to do that step, and then the next triangle to find y, oh, not 30, 20, we're going to need to put that x into here to be able to find y. So for this one, opposite and adjacent, so tan 30 equals 40 over x. If x is on the bottom, then we switch them. So x equals 40 over tan 30. And we get our answer, which I will need someone to find for me. And we're going to include all the decimal places in this because we're going to use it in the next answer. We'll only round at the end. Has someone got an answer for me? So 40 over tan 30?
Yeah, it's really good.
That's all right, thank you. So we've got 69.2820323028. Just make that a bit clearer. Is x, okay? So that 69 point blah, 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 blah ends up being what this value is here. Everyone okay with that? So that's the x, so that's this line. So this is how we find x, is this number, which then goes here, which is this line. Okay, so once we've found that line and we know the angle, we then want to be able to find y. So this time we're going tan 20 equals y over 69.2820 blah, 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 blah. And so you just use that number, which is already in your calculator. Don't rewrite it out. Just go that times, include all the decimal places, times tan 20 equals y. So just go your answer times tan 20 and you'll get an answer. Because it's still opposite over adjacent. So opposite, adjacent, opposite, adjacent. It's just in a different order. What number did we get?
Not the right answer.
Add 40 to it. Is that the right? No, add, no.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was 25 and then the numbers 216, 597.
Sorry. Come on. Okay, so that becomes 25.22. And so we now know that y equals 25.22. So what is the height of the building? Is it 25? It's plus the 40, so it's 65.22 meters. Because we've got to add the 4. See how we've got this number for y, but we also need to add the 40 to be able to get the whole building site. So together, that's that number. Lewis, does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Anyone else? Are we okay with that? All right. So can we keep working on those other questions, please? Sorry.